We have a special guest today. It's Sherry's cousin, Cora May. Hi, Cora May.
I'm Cora May Reithbaum. I'm Sherry's third cousin, 4 times removed, and I'm here a visitor from Hickory Flat. And I'm just so excited to be here on this internet thing. And Mr. Mark, I mean, Sherry told me y'all was good people, and I could see that right away when you got an open door for just anybody to come in. But I would like to give you just a little warning. Watch out for the chickens because they'll go in anywhere. So you got to watch out for them. But other than that, we just all be visiting you.
Mark, Mark, Mark.
You're welcome anytime.
Thank you.
Well, Sherry tells us you have a family relative that fought with the Maccabees.
Yes, we did. Jonathan Aaron Reithbaum. Why, we's mighty proud of him. He was a war hero, you know. And we tell that story every year. It's just been passed down from generation to generation. I mean, it was told me by my great-granddaddy and by my granddaddy and by my mama's daddy and by my sister's cousin and my brother's Uncle Leon and the twins. And it's a true story with my hand up.
May I ask a quick question?
Yes.
Is that grease bomb? Is that the?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. Wreath bomb.
Oh, I just got this idea of greasing a bomb, you know, like with pig fat or something.
No.
Makes it go easier, you know.
No, the grease part would go like goose grease that you put on
I get it.
something, you know, a poultice. I'm the storyteller in the family.
All right. You got it.
I'm not the healer person.
You got it.
You know, you're going to get me to start talking all down south drawl, you know.
Wow, that's the best way to talk.
Do you think you could share this story with us? We would love to hear this story.
I'd love to share this story with y'all. Now, y'all just sit back and relax because it's an exciting story. Away back yonder, long time ago, my family, the Reithbaums, lived in a land called Judea, where it was ruled by this mean old emperor, Antiochus. Now, you know, I have an Auntie Cora and an Auntie May, and I was named after them. You see, Cora May Reithbaum. Now, that's not a problem because I'm named after my aunties, and I'm a girl, of course, in case you hadn't noticed out there, and I ain't married either. But if you was a boy and you was named after your auntie, well, like this fella was named after his auntie Aucus, it's bound to make a feller mean. You know, like in that old Johnny Cash song, A Boy Named Sue. I figure this Antiochus fella grew up a fighting and a snarling over his name, and it made him as mean as a junkyard dog. And that's an insult to the dog. Just you wait and see what this old mean feller did. You know, he forbid the people in Judea to read the Torah and obey the commands of Elohim. And then he had the nerve to command everybody in his empire to worship his old Greek idol. And if they didn't do it, why, he'd kill them. So that wicked old Antiochus set up an idol in the temple, and then he sacrificed pigs on it. Well, my family and everybody else in Judea was just appalled. They was just shocked and appalled about all this stuff going on. Why, they was in a quandary. I mean, they knew they could not worship no dumb old idol. There was no need to worship something that didn't exist. They was the people of Yahweh Almighty, and this was a bad situation. But y'all know what? Our Elohim has it all covered. Look here what happened. You know, there was this priest, and his name was Mattathias. Yep, that's his name. I'm not a stuttering. His name was Mattathias, and he had 5 sons. And you know what they did? they decided to band together and fight for the honor of Yahweh's name. Yep, they sure did. They was some brave ones too, because Greek warrior fellers were as mean as junkyard dogs, just like their old leader. And some of them must have been named after their aunties too, you know. But I tell you what, that priest Mattathias was an old feller, and he died. Yep, that was right sad, you know. But I was not lost, because his son, Judah Maccabee, became the leader. Now, Maccabee really means hammer. It's a code word for hammer. And many other fellers joined him, and they became known as the Maccabees, the hammers. Now, everybody knows that when a feller takes a hammer to something, he means business. I mean, we had OTV once that kept getting fuzzy on the screen where you couldn't see the picture. You could hear the people talking, but you couldn't see them. Well, one day my daddy had had enough, and he got out the hammer. It wasn't pretty, so maybe we ought not talk about that. But anyhow, the Maccabees, them hammer fellers, had had enough, and they meant business. Lots of people started a joining them and a leaving their homes and went up in them there hills and started just a living in the caves and moving around. And our relative Jonathan Aaron Reefbaum was one of them. That's why I'm telling this story. He was family, you know. Now, he was a young boy when he joined them fighting men. He was not as big as the others, but he was a tough one, and he had great faith in God. His favorite scripture was in Joshua. Be strong and courageous. Do not tremble or be afraid, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you may go. Well, you know, them big old warriors would pat him on the head and call him the little hammer. But you know, even them little hammers can cause a lot of damage when they're needed. Jonathan Aaron Reefbaum, why, he lived with them in them caves, and he could travel lickety-split with them for days without complaint, even though he was a little one. And he became their chief cook, because he could sure make a good dish of lentil stew. And, you know, after all that of fighting, them fellers was hungry. They wanted some of that lentil stew. You know, I really kind of think that's where all the good cooks in our family come from, you know. The DNA, that's fancy for y'all come by it natural because it runs in the family. We got natural cooks. And I think it all comes from Jonathan Aaron. But anyway, there was this big battle one day, and Jonathan Aaron was up there a-cooking with his other cooking buddies, and he was a-looking down in the valley, and he could see that them warriors were getting tired, and them Greeks was starting to win. Well, Jonathan Aaron had an idea. He and his cooking buddies made up some signs, and they all started running on the hilltops, a-waving the signs and a-blowing them shofars. You know, a shofar is a horn. And a-hollering to them hammer warriors down below. Read the sign, boys, read the sign. And them warriors looked up, and they saw them standing on the hill waving them signs, and they started shouting and shouting. Me kamoka ba'elam Adonai. Me kamoka ba'elam Adonai. That became their battle cry that day. Me kamoka ba'elam Adonai. Now, that's Hebrew, because, you know, they didn't speak English back in them days, and it means who is like unto our God. And some of them fellers would holler back that was over on the other side of the hill, Ain Kamoka, Ain Kamoka. Well, in English, that means there ain't none like our God. And I mean, them hammer warrior fellers was reinvigorated in the strength of Elohim, and they began to fight back like the mighty hammers they was in the hand of a mighty Elohim. And they hammered away, and they hammered away, and they hammered away on them Greek soldiers till they beat them down. And we was proud of Jonathan Aaron for standing up for Elohim, and all them warriors standing up for Elohim. Even though Jonathan Aaron was a little hammer, he did a lot of damage by reminding them bigger hammers of whose hand they was in. Our God is God, and there ain't no other. Our Elohim is the only God. And you know what? Them Greek fellers got whooped. They got whooped by a band of farmers and agricultural workers and shepherds because they was the hammer in the hand of God. Our ancestor Jonathan Reefbaum and his cooking buddy saved the day by reminding the warriors who was really fighting the battle. I'm a telling you, them Maccabee fellers whooped them Greek fellers all over the place. I mean, they run them clean out of town. Them Greek fellers turned tail and run when they heard that mighty battle cry, because they was all a-skeert. They was a-skeert. They ran through the briars. They ran through the bushes. They was so scared they ran through places where a rabbit couldn't go. They ran so fast that the hounds couldn't catch them, all the way back to their Greek home. And it was a glorious day for Elohim. Hallelujah. Now, that was the first miracle that took place. But listen here what happened later on. After them warrior fellers run the Greek fellers out of town, they went to the temple in Jerusalem to give thanks to Elohim. And you know what they found? They found the biggest mess you ever saw. I mean, them Greek fellers' mamas must not have taught them nothing about keeping the house clean, because them goofy Greeks had even let the pigs in the temple. Now, everybody knows you keep livestock outside. And they had even sacrificed one of them old nasty pigs on the altar to their old stupid god. Well, the Maccabees couldn't have that, because pigs is unclean, unclean, unclean. So they just tore down that old altar and built a new one and smashed and burned the idol statue of the Greeks that they had put in the temple. And then they set about cleaning up that big old mess. Now, they had been well taught by their mamas, and they got their buckets and brooms and their cleaning cloths, and soon they had that temple spick and span. Now, after the temple was clean, they wanted to light the menorah, so everybody could see how sparkling clean everything was, and they would just start worshiping God again. But they needed oil to put in the menorah. The menorah is like a big lamp, and everybody knows you got to have coal oil to burn in a lamp. But now this wasn't coal oil that you put in the menorah. It was a special oil. It was olive oil blessed by the priest. And them messy old Greeks had torn up and crashed everything. So the Maccabees was a-looking and a-looking and a-looking for the special oil for the menorah lamp. Well, Jonathan Aaron knew where to look for oil. Yep. Now, let me ask you a question. If you was a cook, where would you look for olive oil? Not outside. Why, it'd be right off the kitchen. And you know what? He found some right behind the potato bin. One little jar of oil. And he knew it was the right kind of oil because it had the seal of the high priest on it. But it was only enough for one day. And they all knew it would be 8 days before they could make new oil. But they decided, let's go ahead and fill the menorah with the oil so it can burn. Well, they filled the menorah and lit it. They were so glad, and they were worshiping God. They went to sleep that night. They came back the next morning, and guess what? The menorah was still burning, and it was still full of oil. And this happened night after night for 8 days. It was a bona fide miracle that the oil did not get low. So that's why we celebrate this great victory and miracle for 8 days by lighting one candle each of the 8 nights on the Hanukkah menorah and telling the Hanukkah story with our family member, Jonathan Aaron. So we will remember that our God is God and there is no one like him. Mi Kamoka, Ba'elam Adonai. Now, ain't that a good story? But you know what's best about it? It's true. It's true. That's a fact with my hand up. I'm telling the truth. It's true. Because my great-granddaddy, my granddaddy, my mama's daddy, my mama's sister's cousin, and my Uncle Leon and the twins tell the story, and they wouldn't be lying. They wouldn't. But now here's something else. Here's the rest of the story, kind of the story behind the story. Now, y'all all know we got an old enemy called Hasatan. I hate him, in case y'all didn't know. And Hasatan's plan was to use Antiochus to try to wipe out the Jewish people so Messiah could not come. Well, Elohim is way smarter than that old Hasatan. The Maccabees won, and the Jewish people was all saved. And you know, about 170 years later, Messiah Yeshua was born. And you know what? Yeshua is the light of the world. He's the light that never goes out. And through him, we have the gift of salvation. Yeshua, the light of the world, burns for all mankind to see. Because you know what? He's a coming soon. He's a coming sooner than we think. And we better be ready and totally dedicated to him. Now, that's the truth. And that's our story. And I'm a sticking to it.
Wow, Cora May, that was a really good story. I have one question, though, and I know it's going to be a little off topic, but what was that, Gentile stew or Lentile stew?
It was Lentile stew.
Oh, okay.
Lentile, Lentile stew.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that it wasn't something that the Greeks did, you know.
No, they ate yucky stuff. No.
And the Greeks, the Greeks wasn't a sorority. It was those crazy guys with their sandals and the pigs and stuff. You know.
I don't know what a sorority is. I don't know what that is. I just know them Greek fellas were mean, and I really believe a lot of them were named after their aunts. That's why they was so mean.
Yeah.
Mark, you have any questions for Cora May?
No, I not really. Not that I really want an answer to. I do have questions, but most of them I don't want an answer to. So I've pretty much figured it out. And
well, that means I did my job good, because I'm in training for being the official family storyteller. And so there's a passing the stories down to me so I can pass them on to the next generation, because we want all of our family to be a serving Elohim and worshiping Yeshua the Messiah. We want them all to know, so we got to keep on top of it.
Amen. Amen to that. Yeah, man, that was excellent. I've heard that story before. And it's in some book somewhere. I don't know where it is. I think it's a Catholic book. So
I don't know. Like I said, this is
the Catholic
all my relatives.
Yeah, he means the Catholic Bible.
Yeah, the Catholic Bible. Yeah, that's right. It's in there, but not the way you told it. And I'm going with the way you told it. Okay, yeah.
Well, I mean, we wasn't including my ancestor, Jonathan Aaron. I'm sure, there was a lot of other workers there, and I'm sure there's a lot of other families that have stories to tell too about their ancestors that was a fighting in the Hammer Wars.
Right.
We call them the Hammer Wars.
I do have one question. You mentioned something about your Messianic. And I was interested to know why did you want us to know anything about your Messianic?
I didn't say a messy attic.
Oh,
no, we have root cellars. We don't have attics. We got a root cellars. I was talking about messy annex. That means people that believe in the Messiah Yeshua.
I see. Okay. Well, that's very different then. All right. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, if it was messy, like you were saying, then they must have made the mess in the temple.
Well, the only
the Greek sorority
was made by them Greek fellers. They messed that temple up. But thank goodness, them Jewish boys was well-trained by their mamas, and they knew how to put the elbow grease behind it and get that place cleaned up and put the pigs outside where they belong.
We
That's
can
why I
go.
was warning you about the chickens.
Okay,
You
yeah.
don't have no pigs, but you might have some chickens that might wander in on your open door.
Here they
You know,
come now.
you better watch it.
All right.
All right. Well, Cora May, we really appreciate your story and we appreciate you being here. And we're going to go ahead and start our next segment. Thank you very much for the story. And
Well, thank you for having me. And I hope we get to do this again because I've got lots of stories, you know. Yes, I do. But, you know, right now, and thank y'all for letting me do this, but I got to run. I got to go down to the Walmart parking lot. I'm supposed to meet a man. He's selling his goat, and we're going to look it over. You know, lots of stuff goes on in the Walmart parking lot people don't know about. And you can get the best livestock there in the Walmart parking lot. Did you know that?
No, I did it, but you heard it here first. Go to Walmart if you need a lamb, a goat, a horse, or a cow, or, oh, wait, a chicken.
Yes, a chicken. Chickens is good. They lay eggs, and then when they get old, you can boil them.
Make some soup.
That's right.
Again, Cora May, thank you very much for joining us. We appreciate it. And until next time, have a blessed day.
Thank y'all for having me. Bye. Bye.
Bye. Y'all come back.
Y'all come back, you hear?
We are richly blessed to bring you what we believe is the fullest, most diverse, yet up-to-date progressive teachings, discussion, and prayer programming you can find anywhere on this planet. Be sure to take the tour of the MessianicLambRadio.com website. I'm Susan Hoogie, thanking you for joining us on the Messianic Lamb Video Network.
We'll be dancing in the streets, dancing at His feet, dancing in the New Jerusalem, and we will sing such a